All right. All right, we should be live. Gonna give a shout out to everybody who's already here. I'm gonna give everybody maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes to come and join us. We have a lot to talk about. I will be making, as a matter of fact, I'm about to make my breakdown video live right now, just in case anybody wants to go watch that while we're waiting for everybody to join us. Holy shit. Like, I don't know. I'm anxious because I haven't streamed in a while, but holy shit. Amazing episode. Go follow me on Twitter, sir_hunt_reviews. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. I've already, sort of given my initial reaction to the show on there. Hang on one second. All right, let's see. Just gotta check a couple things on the video before I make the breakdown video live. I also don't know who all has seen. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. The episode's already been out. I watched it like 12 hours ago. It leaked last night or like early in the morning yesterday. I found out when I woke up, downloaded it and watched it. You know, I've always done shit like that, but for this specifically, I was really excited to do it because we've been waiting like 3 years. This is the longest it's ever been without any Game of Thrones. I'm not gonna blame any person who either one couldn't afford HBO, couldn't get it in their country, or like I said, just couldn't stand the fucking wait. It was nuts. But that's how I was able to get my video out. Basically, now I'm about to make it live, right as we're talking. The stream will begin soon. Like I said, I just want to make this video live first. All right. I'm about to drop the link for the video right now in the chat. It is officially public for my breakdown of the episode. It's only 17 minutes. This might be an hour long. Depends on how much, we have to talk about, like interacting with the chat. I'm going to run through my notes like I always did with the Game of Thrones breakdown, but I also want to interact with the chat. And that could take who knows how long, maybe an hour or so. All right, holy shit, we got 139 people watching. Let me do some shout outs real quick. We're about to officially begin. Let me give hello. I'm gonna be showing my face. We gotta show the Chad Daemon. We're gonna be talking about Daemon mostly tonight, but yeah, holy fuck. All right, shout out to, let's see, participants. What the hell? Make that shit go away. All right, shout out to A.K.A. Hilton, Branford Rogers, Brian Williams, Cat Shepard, Chef Barcy, Chris Carr, Siona, Danielle Kale, Dawn Marie, Doug Jenkins, Alicia, Cole Help, Ganjapreneur 420, nice, Hussein Aziz, John Rod, what up, dog? Joy to the World, K3G92, what up, homie? Kiana Damien, Lori Rinaldi, Marvin Polliard, Melanie Ramsel, that's a Patreon of mine. Mountain Maid, Nick McNeil, Nurse Moonshine, Orlando Patterson, Rachel Smith, Rick Papa, Roman Wright, Sir Hunt's Review. Oh shit, that's me. Stephanie Taylor, SWAC Fan 100, Terentia Flavius, The North Must Remember. That's another patron of mine. I need to make him a mod. Bio Explorer, TNS, and Richie, and anybody else who's not currently typing in the chat. Like I said, we're about to start here soon. I just want to give people a few more minutes to finish the episode, because the episode was actually a little bit over an hour. And also, there is a behind-the-scenes episode, for, like, inside the episode. And there's also clips for the rest of the season. All that shit. Go watch that right now. And also, I'm about to drop my motherfucking breakdown video in the chat. Like I said, it just went live. All right, here is that breakdown video. If any of you all want to go watch that while we wait for people to join us. Live streams are a lot more fun when we have when I give people time to join us, because like I said, a lot of people, I always get comments saying, damn, I missed the fucking live stream. So let's give everybody maybe a few more minutes. I've only been live for 5 minutes. Let's wait maybe, I don't know, 5 more minutes. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette. Why don't y'all go do the same? If you don't, grab a drink, grab some popcorn, grab some soda. We got a lot to talk about. This is not Game of Thrones, but it is, but it's not, but it's going to be so much fucking better. Who's ready to begin? All right, I'll do another shout out here in a little bit. Let's officially fucking start. Chad Daemon, boy. Oh man. All right, so I'm gonna say this. We're back. It feels good, right? So here's two criticisms, right? Because there's probably gonna be some people that watch this that are like, man, you're hyping this up. It wasn't that good. Two criticisms. One, the painful Emma Aaron birth scene. Just that. It was painful. Like, specifically, it went on just a little bit too long. Like, Maester Mellows had his hands all up inside Queen Emma Aaron. That was crazy. I felt like it was good that it was intermixed with the violence of the tourney scene celebrating the birth of Prince Balon the heir, but it just went on just a little bit too long. I was like, holy fuck, this is the first episode. God damn. We didn't have Cersei telling the City Watch to kill the Robert's heirs. I just ran up the stairs. That's why I'm out of breath. I always do that shit. Hang on, let me take a sip of water. But yeah, we didn't have that until after Robert Baratheon died. So that was the 10th episode of the final season. And this isn't even really a complaint. This is just the one gripe that I had with the show. And then the other thing was, let me see, because I actually have my notes here. The other thing that wasn't really a gripe, it was more so that Rhaenyra was already the cupbearer before Viserys named her his heir, which is weird because in the books she's already named his heir when she's the cupbearer. So that was the other gripe. But holy fucking shit! All right, so running through the episode notes, the episode starts with the Great Council of 101 AC. So if you're just watching the show and you've never read the books, what 101 AC is, you're probably like, what the fuck? 101 years after Christ? Is there a Jesus in this show? There is. His name's Aegon the Conqueror, and that's what AC stands for. After Aegon's conquest, right? So this show takes place at the start of it, and then they immediately jump ahead 9 years after that first scene at the Great Council at 101 AC, right? This thing was massive. They had 1,000 lords there. They mentioned that in the show. But it's 101 years after Aegon, who is the first Targaryen to conquer Westeros. Not the first Targaryen in Westeros, because his ancestor, Daenys the Dreamer, and Aenar the Exile, left Valyria, which is the place where all of these silver-haired motherfuckers are from initially. Not just the Targaryens, but also the Velaryons. Their house is from the Valyrian Freehold. They're not necessarily dragon riders, though. Not every single person with white hair, and this is in the books, rides dragons. Some of them do. The Targaryens do. They lost them all when the first show, when Game of Thrones first started. They were all dead, and then at the end of the season, Daenerys has 3 more. Right now, 100 years after the initial white-haired elf, Jesus motherfucker, conquered Westeros, 100 years after that, there's this king, the old king, Jaehaerys, who reigned for 55 years. He made it prosperous. He was like, hey, straighten up, Westeros. If not, I'm not dying. Not like all the other rulers. Like a lot of kings in Westeros live shortly and then they die tragic deaths. But not this dude, Jaehaerys. So what ended up happening is he actually outlived all of his heirs, his 2 children. One of them, Balon, one of his heirs, Balon actually becomes the Hand. He's the father of Viserys, who's the king that we saw the majority of this episode, played by Paddy Considine. The father, his daddy, is the old. His dad is the son of the old king. The old king is Jaehaerys, and that's Viserys' father, right? So I'm over explaining here. Basically, he ruled for so long, all his heirs are gone bye-bye. So he, instead of just picking one, which he tried to do, he tried to offer it to one of his children who was still alive, right? He actually has a couple that were still alive. One of them owns a whorehouse over in Lys at this great council. Maybe we'll see a flashback to it, but she sends a couple of her sons over to make a claim, right? But like they said in the episode, it wasn't taken serious. Only 2 of them were, and that was Rhaenys, right? They said Rhaenys or Rhaenys, and that's the wrong way to say it. It's because their English accent. It's Rhaenys. Her claim was taken serious because she was with child, and she said that this is probably a boy. At the time, she thought it was. It ended up being Lena, and then she did have a boy. And we'll find out in a later episode in this first season that a question of succession comes up again, right? We're going to find out because the king starts having male heirs and more male heirs starts popping up. But instead of just picking an heir, the old king was like, I'm going to let all these high lords in Westeros vote and pick an heir. And that's where this episode starts. He's opening up that little scroll and it says, Viserys Targaryen. We pick Viserys Targaryen. And it's, to be completely honest, it's mostly because proximity, right? So the old king was his grandfather. So it's not that far off. So Rhaenys was skipped over because she's a woman, yes, and that's going to be a heavy theme in the show, but it's hard for me to talk about that without giving away too many spoilers for the end of the season. So I've been talking for a few minutes now. Let me see if I can do another shout out in the chat if there are more people. All right. Well, it seems like the same people are watching. All right, so I'll wait a little bit to do another chat or shout out. Let's see. All right, so after the Great Council of 101 AC, the next thing, well, I'm going to skip around in the episode a bit. These are things that I wrote down in my notes that I immediately want to talk about. The Dohaeris scene with Syrax and Rhaenyra. Basically, Rhaenyra's flying over the city, and then she ends up landing at the dragon pit, and she talks to some dragon keepers, and it looks like they're training a new dragon keeper. One of the ones is a dragon keeper that we saw from the leaked photo of it. It's like the one picture that we have of the dragon keeper. But anyway, the one that's being trained is clearly afraid of Syrax. Syrax is mostly a pretty tolerant dragon from what we can see. Like, obviously, dragons get older and their personality changes with their riders because they match their rider's personality initially. So what ends up happening is that we hear Dohaeris, and it says it's Valyrian. And if you'll remember, Valar Morghulis is something that Arya says to a Braavosi captain, and then they return it with Valar Dohaeris, which means all men must die is Valar Morghulis, and then Valar Dohaeris is all men must serve. So I'm taking Dohaeris from that and putting it with the Dragon Keeper, and I think what that older Dragon Keeper is telling Syrax is serve, bow, right? It's another way of saying, like, relax, chill the fuck out. We're about to walk over to the dragon pit. I got some fucking lambs for you, right? I need to watch my cursing because I think if I curse a lot when the live stream first starts, it gets demonetized. I think it's already demonetized anyway. Doesn't matter. And then another thing that I thought was really cool was the dragon smell, right? So Rhaenyra's mother, Aemma Arryn, and her father, King Viserys, smell dragon, which is pretty cool because that's kind of I mean, it's not pulled directly from the books, but dragons have a smell, horses have a smell. George, when he's writing these books, he's very descriptive, and one of the things that he uses to describe a scene in words is describing smells and tastes, specifically food. Everybody knows he spends quite a lot of time writing about food, but the smells is another thing, and it's just cool to have these established Targaryens with not only saddles, we're going to hopefully see whips, and also we have these dragon keepers, which is something that, if I'm not mistaken, is entirely new for this series. But it would make sense because there's 10 dragons around. There's going to be 17 dragons total in this series. So obviously there's more than 10, but like 10 fully grown, you know. It's hard to explain the time jumps in this episode. I don't know how many time jumps may be in episode 2. I know it's pretty much going to be straightforward until episode 5, where, spoiler warning, there's going to be like a big time jump. And it's not really spoilers because we've seen her. Emma Darcy is going to, they're going to come in and play Rhaenyra, and the older version of Alicent is also going to be played by Olivia Cook. So that's when we'll have the big time jump. Like I said, not really a spoiler. Also, the cupbearer scene, I kind of mentioned that was my one irk, and it's not even a real irk. It's not even a real, like, I have no complaints. That's just something that I had to force myself to talk about that I didn't like about the episode. It's just that Rhaenyra is already the cupbearer, and then she's announced heir. Whereas in the books, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be wrong, so I could be making myself look like a fucking idiot right now, but in the books, if I'm not mistaken, she's already named the heir when she's the cupbearer. And part of the reason why she's the cupbearer is because she's like being privy to her father's meetings, and she's taking part in the small council, learning and listening what it's like to govern and rule the 7 kingdoms. So that was one thing that kind of irked me, along with the Emma Aaron pregnancy scene going on just a little bit too long. And I always said, I want this show to be graphic. I don't want them to hold back. I don't want them to PG it up because everybody's trying to cancel everybody these days. And here I am complaining about something on the show being it's also probably because I have 2 kids and I've witnessed them being born, so maybe that hit me a different way. So I don't know, that's probably what that is. But anyway, continuing on, like I said, I love the dragon smell thing. That's just really cool. Dragons probably smell like they probably smell like, you would think they would stink, but they fly, so they probably get aired out. I don't know. What do you all think? Everybody in the chat, let me know. What do you think dragons smell like? Holy shit, we got a super chat from my boy, the North. Oh yeah, I need to make him a moderator. I forgot. This is a patron of mine. If I'm not mistaken, I think he was making content rewriting Game of Thrones Season 8 or continuing the storyline. But he says, oh yeah, in the chat, real quick, before I get to that, let me know what the hell you guys think dragons smell like. Aegon the North remembers. Thanks, dude. Thank you for the super chat. He says, Aegon knew of the others. I heard a rumor about that. Was that established canon or a new reveal? It's not. It's actually not, the last part. It's not a new reveal. That was kind of like a headline going around the websites, but it's not. It's something that George, not only has George mentioned it in an interview from 2018, like there's this YouTube channel called Aegon Targaryen, and they release clips from all these interviews that George R. Martin does. And one of them he did, I remember watching this interview like 4 years ago and being like, oh, that's cool. Aegon knew about the threat of the White Walkers. That makes sense, because why was he sort of hanging out, fighting out over in Essos like he was using Balerion as like almost like a sellsword, right? He did like do a couple wars out there, not his war, but he was sort of, he did some shit out in Essos and then was like, yo, I'm gonna go conquer Westeros. So it's kind of like, what the fuck happened? So maybe he was, Valyria wasn't that fucking far off destroyed. It wasn't as far off destroyed as when Daenerys is over there now in 300 AC, right? So maybe he's seen something over there in Essos, and that's what made him conquer Westeros. George literally says this in the interview. So to answer your question, the Northros, remember, no, it's not a new thing. George has already kind of said this, and the show is establishing that. That's one of the things that I'm super excited about with House of the Dragon. With House of the Dragon confirming canon shit, because they kind of have the right to do so. I feel like we were tricked into believing, at least I was tricked into believing the relationship with Dan and Dave and George was really close. Like, we knew George was cut out of the picture from season 5 onward for a long time, but in these newer interviews, George is basically saying, yo, I didn't have shit to do with that. They kind of knew where my story was going. But anyway, it's cool to see stuff like this being confirmed, and then we're probably going to get in Fire and Blood Part 2, we're going to find out that Rhaegar, who is Daenerys' brother, Jon Snow's father, right? We're going to find out that Rhaegar, because he has this scene with Elia Martell, who is his wife. God, we all know about Robert's Rebellion. I don't have time to talk about that here. But Rhaegar literally has a scene that Daenerys sees in the House of the Undying. It wasn't in the TV show. It did not happen in the TV show. But in the books, Rhaegar's sitting with her, and it's like, his name will be Aegon, and his is the Song of Ice and Fire. Yo, Ryan Condal's a fucking genius. That was slipped into this episode. This is the Song of Ice and Fire. Viserys talking to Rhaenyra, telling her this is a secret that's been passed down to every ruler. And technically, there's only been 3. He's the 4th king to sit the Iron Throne. Let me see. No. He might be the 5th. Let me do the math here. All right. So there's Aegon the Conqueror, and then there's Aenys, the son that he has with Rhaenys, not Rhaenys, but Aegon the Conqueror has a wife named Rhaenys, and the son they have, Aenys, is a bitch, and he ends up dying. And then Maegor takes over. Maegor the Cruel. We actually heard Rhaenys, again, not Aegon the Conqueror. God, these people are so fucking inbred. They have so much DNA, you could say that they're just reincarnated every time they get named. It's kind of funny. By the 3rd Aegon... Oh, too many spoilers. I'm not going to go there. Anyway, 1 king, Aegon the Conqueror. 2 kings, Aenys. 3 kings, Maegor. 4 kings, Jaehaerys. 5 kings, Viserys. So there you are. Viserys is only the 5th king to sit the Iron Throne, and because of that, this secret has only been passed down to 4 kings. Well, 3 kings before him, because Aegon found out about it. So that's why he conquered Westeros. And I think that was it. Yes, that was all of his question. All right. Holy shit, we got 200 people watching. That's fucking awesome. What is up, everybody? Let's do another shout out real quick. I'll just do it real quick. Participants. Let's see. Everybody type in the chat, where are you from? And I'll shout out your city. How about that? I'll do that. P Easy, what's up, bro? Did I make you a mod yet? Oh yeah, it did. North must remember. All right, I just made you mod. All right, cool. Let's see. I'll pull some questions from the chat, and then I'll continue going back to my notes real quick. SWAC. I read the first line and I was like, holy shit, why are you watching this? They go, my wife and son are dead. I will not sit here and suffer crows that come to feast on their corpses. I felt his pain through the screen. Oh wait, that's not part of what he said. That's not part of what Viserys said. Yes, fuck yes, Paddy Considine. People were saying that when they saw the premiere in LA and then all the other world premieres. Paddy Considine and George R.R. Martin, the author of this series, has said himself, yo, Paddy is the shining star of the show. His performance elevates the character Viserys from the books to an entirely new level. Main reason being is because when George was writing Viserys' character, he never really, and he said this in an interview recently, couldn't tell you the source because my brain is firing on like too many cylinders. But basically, George said when he was writing Viserys for Fire and Blood, it was a means to get to the Dance of the Dragons. Viserys' character was a means to get there. So he just said, okay, he's amiable, he's easygoing. The people around him convince him because he's ultimately a peacetime king. He has a lot of parties, and he ends up dying because he gets too fat and he gets cut by the Iron Throne, right? That's kind of literally what Viserys does. He's an idiot. He's not as big as an idiot as Aegon the Unworthy, who literally legitimizes all of his heirs. And this is like several years down the line. But there's this one king, Aegon the Fourth, who's so shitty. He's such a shitty person. He legitimizes all of his bastards. So they all become actual members of his house as opposed to children that he had with whores and sluts. And some of them he had with higher up houses. But anyway, that guy's a piece of shit. So Viserys isn't as big as a piece of shit as that guy, but he's still kind of a piece of shit. So what Paddy Considine does and what Ryan Condon and what Miguel Sapochnik did with this character was elevate him to a whole new level. And that's fucking amazing. But yeah, jumping in the chat, reading another question. How old is Alicent and Rhaenyra in this episode? I believe at one point it said that Alicent is 18 and Rhaenyra, she's supposed to be 6. But she's not. I don't know how old she is. We're going to find out when the time jump happens. If Emma Arryn, wasn't she pregnant at the Great Council of 101 AC and then they jump ahead 9 years? Rhaenyra was already alive at that time. She just probably wasn't there. Like, it's hard to tell. We'll find out. The shit really hits the fan in 129 to 130 AC, which isn't really a spoiler because most of the events of this story happen within a year in the book's timeline. So things are about to speed up quickly. That's why they have to start out in a certain year and then do time jumps, because this story is all encompassing over several decades. Like the buildup literally starts happening during Jaehaerys' reign, like halfway through it, because there's so many princes of the blood. There was bound to be a line of succession or a question of succession at some point, which is kind of why Jaehaerys ultimately let the realm decide who should sit the Iron Throne, right? The main reason being is because if the realm decides, all 7 kingdoms decide, hey, this is our king, then there wouldn't be a war, right? So that's why Viserys was chosen. That's why Jaehaerys did that. But like I said, because Jaehaerys ruled for so long and because dragons are powered and Targaryens can control that, or for the most part, or they can trick people into thinking that, right? They get dangerous personalities. So it's kind of like, something like that was bound to happen because there were so many people who were Targaryens. And it just so happened that it happened during Viserys' reign, or after he dies, rather. Oh, spoiler. I've said spoiler warning like 5 times. Also, he's got like scabies. That thing looked crazy infected, the scab on his back. I'm going to run through the rest of my notes here and then holler at the chat and then get started on episode 2 prediction video. And then I got to put my son to bed. All right. So let's see. We have Daemon and Rhaenyra on the Iron Throne speaking Valyrian. That's amazing. I was trying to learn some of the lines, and I may have for a future video. Like, I tried to record some shit to learn those. I'm going to have a new Valyrian phrase, aside from Zeldrizas postari ixostaur. And then here's something that I really, really fucking enjoyed. Like, my dick was like, hey, super erection time when I heard the men in the Vale fuck sheep because the women are uglier, right? That's pulled straight out of Fire and Blood. Daemon say, and he just says it so casually, it's fucking, that's gonna be memed to all fucking hell. And then also, this one's not necessarily pulled directly from the books, but when Rhaenys said these nights are as green as summer grass, like as green as summer, that's pulled from when Catelyn's POV in A Storm of Swords in A Clash for Kings, right? During her POV, she thinks about how Renly and certain combatants against Robb and some of Robb's companions, their nights are as green as summer. Like, they haven't truly been tested, specifically with Renly's camp. So that's kind of pulled from the books. She was given like a Lady Olenna vibes when she said that, the Queen of Thorns. That tourney scene was insane. I think I'm gonna try to do a video at some point while the show's out during the season where I break down like that fight scene, because it was fucking nuts. It was split in between the Emma Aaron giving birth scene, so it was kind of painful to hyper focus on it because, like I said, we keep flashing back to the pregnancy scene from the fighting of the tourney, celebrating Balon's birth. So it's kind of crazy, Rhaenys and Corlys make commentary on it. They're like, this is how we're celebrating the birth of the heir. The Dothraki style, right? Dothraki wedding style. The Daemon and the Gold Cloak scene was fucking amazing. Like, the dude who yells, thief! Murderer! Like, that dude is that is dope. That's gonna be memed all. And then Daemon whips out Dark Sister. We see Dark Sister for the first time. If you're unaware, Dark Sister was wielded by Visenya, one of Aegon's sister wives. I was just talking about Aegon before. This is Aegon the Conqueror. He had two wives, Rhaenys and Visenya. Not the Rhaenys that we see on this show. This is Rhaenys from 100 years before that, right? So she's long dead. But yeah, so what the fuck was I just talking about? I forgot. I don't know. Let me jump in the chat real quick. Oh shit, we got another super chat. This is from, holy shit, thank you, Cameron Stevers. He says, first time on your channel, can't wait to see more of you. Who is the Stark Lord introduced? I thought House Stark wasn't very present. They aren't. Cregan comes in, the old man of the North. He's called the old man. He's actually young. He just looks a lot older than he actually is. He comes in towards the end of the story in what's known as the Hour of the Wolf. And I'm not going to give any spoilers for the Hour of the Wolf, but House Stark does play a role. And if I'm not mistaken, we might get to see them in this season. We might get to see, once they flash forward to the main timeline, when we have, I would say, when we get closer to 130 AC, maybe in like 127, 128 AC, right? We're going to see Rhaenyra's children age up. And one of them, who, because Rhaenyra is the heir, Jacaerys, he becomes the Prince of Dragonstone. He goes up north. And if it doesn't happen in season 1, it'll happen in early season 2. Because Rhaenyra basically, another spoiler alert, right? I'm trying to answer your Cameron's question. Rhaenyra sends her sons to different parts of the Seven Kingdoms, and one of them is the North, and Jacaerys goes there. And if this show wants to, they could make the Starks have a way heavier role, and then still give reason as to why the Hour of the Wolf was delayed, right? So why Cregan comes in so much later in the story. But thank you for that super chat, Cameron. That's fucking awesome. Thanks, dude. You're literally buying diapers and formula for me. Thank you. Oh shit, we got another one. Fuck yeah. This is from Vir Sabers, and he or she or they says, super stoked to see the content you're going to put out for this show, man. I honestly get more excited about your breakdowns than I do the episodes. It's like a conspiracy theory for the GOT universe. Yes, there's so much shit that's connected in A Song of Ice and Fire. And now that I've become way more versed in the books, like I would say I would barely say I dwindled in the books when Game of Thrones was out, right? But now, over the past year and a half, like ever since you see me tweet about something different in A Song of Ice and Fire every day, if you follow me on Twitter, Sir_Hunts_reviews, shameless plug, right? Also at Dragon Daddy, right? If you follow me there, you'll see that I'm always just constantly either rereading or re-listening to the Song of Ice and Fire book. So it's, when you do that, the connections light up like a fucking, like George has said in an interview that when you read history, you realize it doesn't, like if you read a fictional history book or just fantasy or something, the story kind of just ends. But when you read history, real history, the story never really ends. It sort of just keeps going. And one king dies, but that doesn't mean there's no more wars. No, there's a war when that king's son gets older, right? So the story keeps going. And that's what I'm learning from A Song of Ice and Fire, from rereading it so much, is that no matter which part of the story is being told on screen, I'm really going to be excited for it. Especially if Ryan Condal, Miguel Sapochnik, and George himself are fucking involved. It's amazing. But yeah, that's dope. There's not really a question there. Thank you, Vire. That's fucking dope. I'm excited to do breakdowns and try to explain stuff. Because I know some of the shows, the deeper they go into the Song of Ice and Fire universe, I know it can... What the hell? Oh, did it disconnect for a second? Let me see if it reconnected. It says we're reconnected. That was weird. Huh. Let me see. I'm going to check on YouTube real quick. That's weird. The stream's messing up. Well, at least it's telling me the stream is messing up. It says the stream health is poor. Alright. Maybe it's just streaming in a lower resolution. Either way, thank you for that super chat, Vire. Oh, fuck. Then we got another super chat from BioExplorer. This is a long-time watcher. Thank you. She says, formula's expensive. Here you go. Fuck yeah, it is. Thank you. I'm wondering if the prophecy at the end was about Dany or Jon too. Well, it's 100% about Daenerys. You could argue it's about Jon Snow, and this Jon Snow show may change that, but Jon Snow, so far, because he never fought the Night King, he saved the wildlings. He saved the wildlings from the White Walkers. Daenerys saved the whole fucking world. She might have blown up King's Landing, but you gotta understand, the Targaryens and people in power in general have a strange relationship with the citizens of King's Landing. This is why Daemon was beating the shit out of them and cutting off their hands. It's because they basically killed Ned Stark. Daemon is getting back at the citizens of King's Landing for killing Ned Stark in the future. They're going to do it. They do it. You saw at the beginning of the episodes, 173 years before Daenerys. Daemon's just getting back at King's Landing citizens suck. Daenerys was doing the same thing. She was getting back at them because Ned Stark died. So that prophecy, like I said, referring to Daenerys because she saved the world. She literally saved the world. Like in Buffy, on her tombstone, when she dies, she saved the world a lot. Something like that, right? That's what Daenerys did. She saved the world. She went up north. She lost a dragon up there. You could argue, hey, she gave the Night King a dragon. He brought down the wall. She sort of made the apocalypse happen. Well, that's just not fucking true because according to the Starks, winter is coming. And it was going to happen anyway. Daenerys just allowed it to happen. Literally in the books, all you have to do is sail around the wall. The White Walkers literally just have to kind of walk around it. Like, they have to walk on the bottom of the ocean and walk around it. And actually, that's what they're doing because Jon has received letters from, I think, Cotter Pike about Hardhome and Eastwatch. There's literally dead things in the water. That means they're walking on the ocean. They're walking around the wall. So they don't even need Daenerys' dragon in the books. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be a thing because the old king at the beginning of the show, his wife, Queen Alicent, when they were touring King's Landing, she goes up, they're up north, and she's like, yo, I'm sort of bored. So she flies her dragon to the wall, and she tries to fly her dragon past the wall. Silverwing is the name of her dragon, but her dragon refuses to do so. It's because her dragon can sense that there's White Walkers up there, and she could risk losing her life and then giving the White Walkers the dragon, and they burn the wall down. That's going to happen. I think, like I said, and I've said this in I've got 800 videos here on YouTube. I've said this before. Most of the main points of the Game of Thrones Season 8 finale are probably going to be hit in the books. The execution will just be fucking a lot better. We'll say that. Oh, snap. We got another super. Thank you, Bio Explorer. Thank you. Oh, and you joined to be a channel member. Holy shit. Nice. That's dope. If you're unaware, channel member means you get to watch my videos with no ads. That's fucking dope. Thank you. And also you get to use these cool emojis. I'll type this in the chat so you can see what some of them look like. I made wait, what the hell? Why won't it let me do it? Oh, there it is. I made this one of George, and then I drew this picture of the Targaryen sigil. That's pretty cool. You also get to do that. And I'm going to be doing a lot more live streams. Then we got another super chat from Nick McNeil, and there's no comment. Thank you for that, Nick. Then we got one from Jay Skull, and he or she or they said it wouldn't be a show based on Martin's books if someone's dick didn't get chopped off. Yeah, what's up with that? I thought, okay, they're gonna shove the sword up his butt. That's, of course, there's English kings that supposedly one of the ways they died was having a fiery poker. I don't know which English king it was, but supposedly he died by having a fiery poker. A fiery red-hot iron poker shoved up his butt. I'm like, okay, that's what they're about to do. No, they somehow did something worse, and they chopped his entire dick and balls off. He's going to be a freaking eunuch, and he's going to be walking around King's Landing, and they're going to make fun of him. He's probably going to die from infection, because, to be honest, I don't think that was the most sanitary procedure. Thanks for that super chat, Jay Skull. Let's see. I'm going to take some questions from the chat here. One person said you're coming through fine. That was from when it said it broke up. All right, so I guess it does that sometimes. I don't know. That was weird. It told me I was disconnected, and then it said I was reconnected, and then it said the stream health was too poor to continue, like the video was being disconnected. Yeah, that was weird as hell. Oh, shit. I forgot. I asked everybody to shout out where they're from, and then I didn't say. All right, let's see. Shout out to Seneca, Niagara Falls, Winnipeg, Atlanta, Houston, Texas, Philly, Sacramento, Long Island, Denver, 420, nice, Chicago, New Glasgow, Nova Scotia, Canada, maybe? I don't know what the NS stands for. Charlotte, Jersey, Winnipeg, Veneta, Oregon, Oklahoma, Modem, I think, Modem? Aren't you in Atlanta, Pete? Ontario, MIA, Miami, New Jersey, Connecticut, Tazewell, Tennessee, San Diego, North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina, near Florence, South Carolina. Where's Florence at? Is that by Myrtle Beach? Connecticut, Bridgeford, Meriden, Sacramento, Lake Michigan, Queens, New York, Winnipeg, Orlando, Boston, baby. Dallas, Fort Worth, Michigan, Indiana, or India, maybe? Palm Bay, Genie, Charleston, West Virginia, Los Angeles, Ghana. Holy shit, nice. Got people watching me in the motherland. Eindhoven, Netherlands. Nice. New Orleans. Stratford upon Avon, UK. The UK has some interesting places like that. Like it'll be like Bridgeford via extension. Like I don't know. Is that the way of how to get to Avon? Like is Stratford like a word? What does that mean? I've always wondered that because I have looked up random places over there. Franklin, Pennsylvania, Seymour, Indiana. And I think that's it. All right, cool. Nice. It's dope. We're having people watching from all over. Let's see. We got Thank you for that super chat, J Skull. We got another one from the North. Must remember. I'm gonna start taking some questions from the actual chat too. I'm not just gonna be picking super chats. Question from Andaman says, "Do you think Torrhen Stark bent the knee to Aegon because he knew of the others?" Great question. Hell yeah, that is a great question. So this is actually from Andaman, and the North Must Remember gave me $5 to give someone else's question. You're fucking dope. Make sure anybody watching right now goes and follows the North Must Remember. That's really cool. He gave someone else's question shout out because I might have missed it. Do I think Torrhen Stark bent the knee because of what he knew of the others? I keep switching screens to make my face look a little bit better. The brightness from my screen is like the best light source. Yes. I mean, it would make sense. The Starks know winter is coming, right? So the Starks are always aware that the wall stands for a reason. And the reason being is because not just the wildlings, right? Like the Starks get into a lot of wars with the wildlings. There have been Starks that have teamed up with members of the Night's Watch that have taken down kings beyond the wall. Like the one that we see, Mance Rayder, in the TV series is not the first king beyond the wall to do that, to like basically bring all the wildlings together because there's a threat of White Walkers. At least I suspect, and a lot of other people are now suspecting too, and there's people that have long suspected, because obviously I didn't get into this fandom until late, right? There's people that have been reading these books since the fucking 90s, right? But to be fair, World of Ice and Fire came out in 2014, so a lot of these theories didn't really exist probably before then. Maybe, I don't know. But anyway, the Starks have to know about a threat, and there's probably been White Walker threats before, but in the books, when they die, they melt and they disappear. There's no evidence of them. There's reports of them, and in, I believe it's a Dance with Dragons, so Sam ends up going to the Citadel like he does in the TV show, but it's split up. He goes there in A Feast for Crows, and then we don't have any Jon Snow POVs in A Feast for Crows. And then in the Dance with Dragons, we do have Jon Snow POVs, but in the first couple of Jon Snow POVs, Sam is still at the wall, even though he left before. So Sam spends a lot of time in the crypt at Castle Black, and he's reading all these books, and he's literally tasked with getting information for Jon. It reminds me a lot of when in The Name of the Wind, Kingkiller Chronicles, when Kvothe is studying at the uni. But anyway, Sam is learning all these histories, and one thing that he's tasked with is obviously trying to figure out what the fuck's going on with these White Walkers. Like, what the hell's going on with them? So in a long roundabout way of asking your question, what Sam ends up discovering is that the White Walkers don't really leave that much evidence. Like, Sam finds out that sometimes when they show up, there's a long, hard winter, and then when they disappear, the winter goes away. And then in some of the history, Sam finds out that when there's a long, hard winter, so when the winter is active, basically in the TV show we found out that's when dragons go away. The White Walkers appear because of that. So they don't know. It's like the chicken or the egg, which one came first. But also, like I said, they melt. Their weapons are made out of ice. They likely melt too. All of the things they ride and use dead animals, and they use zombies. They can just die and fall into the ground and just become bones. So there's really no evidence of these motherfuckers. But what George has been telling us for the longest is that, yeah, it's a recurring cycle. Everything is cyclical. History repeats itself, and literally it's going to keep happening. There always has to be a Stark in Winterfell. There always has to be a Targaryen on the Iron Throne down south, or someone related to a Targaryen. But guess what? Breanne is not. So Bran's going to have to get the fuck off that throne. It's going to have to be Jon Snow that sits there. I don't know. Maybe that's ultimately what they're getting at. They're going to give us the Jon Snow show. I don't know. But that was a really dope question. It is. Hopefully I answered it. Andamon. And thank you for the super chat, the North Must Remember. Real quick, we got one from Canada. Uncover the news. They said, theory: the knowledge of the Long Night is lost since the true heir, the one that told, that is lost since their, what? The crown was stolen by Aegon II and never told. So Aegon the Conqueror's crown tells the story of the Long Night, and since, spoiler alert, super spoiler alert, like I'm going to give you a solid 5 more seconds to get the fuck out of here if you don't want to know a major spoiler for this season. It's going to happen in the next couple of episodes. Aegon 2 gets the Conqueror's crown, right? Aegon the Conqueror's crown. Aegon 2 initially... Oh, wait, shit, I should probably say this. Aegon 2 is Viserys' son. He finally has male heirs. He has multiple male heirs. Aegon 2 is one of them. He wears the Valyrian steel crown that Aegon the Conqueror wore, his namesake. And Uncover the News says that maybe the story of that is written on the crown. I don't know. I was kind of talking about what Aegon the Conqueror discovered to make him conquer Westeros. It's probably something when he was involved in those wars over in Essos, he probably discovered a scroll that maybe somehow survived the doom of Valyria, and he had a vision, right? He definitely had visions. Most of the Targaryens do. Started probably even before Daenerys the Dreamer, who was the one that warned her father, Aenar the Exile, to get the fuck out of Valyria and move to the Valyrian outpost known as Dragonstone, right? Which was established before the Valyrian Freehold was destroyed. But yeah, I don't know. That's a good one as well. Then we have one from Dennis Sorensen. No question. Thank you, man. He says, gotta go to bed. Welcome back home, everyone. Sir Hunts, thanks for that, dude. That's fucking dope. All right, so let's take some questions from the chat. One person said, I think that's why he bent the knee. So I think that's why Torn Stark bent the knee, like Torn the king who knelt. Irie Fangeek said, it kind of takes the flavor out because the White Walkers didn't even get past Winterfell, and the Targaryen army didn't even help. Well, here's the thing. That can be rectified in the Jon Snow show. And rectified if Ryan Condal, Miguel Sapochnik, and George R. R. Martin have something to do with the Jon Snow show, which they probably will, even though supposedly Kit Harington's going to be one of the showrunners. They're going to get the story done correctly. And there's like a million plot lines that they could pull from Winds of Winter. A lot of the wildling ones that they could adapt into a TV series. Like, for instance, they didn't even talk about Jon Snow being a warg at all. That could be a 10-episode miniseries in of by itself. And, like, maybe it doesn't take place immediately after Game of Thrones. It's now been 3 years in the real world. Maybe this is after Winds of Winter comes out, so they have even more plots to adapt. And, like, I don't know. There's a million things they can do. But announcing that another show is coming has a million opportunities in and of itself. How will the Starks continue if Bran can't have kids? All right, so I'm gonna avoid that one, just because we're talking about Game of Thrones again. Daemon is a menace, but he was right. Viserys is weak, should have stuck to the script, named him heir, realm flourishes, no wars, no rebellions, no giving the White Walkers a dragon, and best of all, no Bran as king. No, I don't know. This show, Daemon hasn't had a full arc yet, but this version of Daemon that I'm seeing right now from the first episode, no, he probably would have been worse than Maegor the Cruel, because one of Maegor the Cruel's weaknesses is that he was such a dick that everybody easily was like, yeah, you're a fucking asshole, right? So, if I'm not mistaken, Maegor threw a cat down a well, super dick. Daemon probably would have pretended to throw the cat down the well, but didn't do it, right? So that's why Daemon is more dangerous than Maegor, because Daemon could trick good people into doing bad things. At least this Daemon we're seeing on the show. So I don't necessarily agree that he was right. Viserys is not weak in doing that, not naming Daemon as heir. Viserys is weak later on in super spoiler alert again, and I'm going to be ending the stream soon, so I don't need to give that big of a spoiler warning, or that long of a spoiler warning, rather. Basically, Viserys has the opportunity to correct some of the mistakes that he makes earlier, and that's by marrying Rhaenyra to Aegon II, who I've already mentioned, so kind of not really a spoiler, but by marrying the two of them, most of this would have been prevented. It is known, right? Just like Irri and Jiqui, Daenerys' handmaidens, it is known that you can have paramours. The two of them could be married, hate each other, produce children, right? You don't have to love each other to fuck, right? They could still do that, do their duty, save the big fighting, have an heir. The child they made together will be heir. They'll at least love that child, right? And then they would have prevented all that shit, but then could have still been happy by having all their paramours. So I don't know. That didn't happen. All right. Let's see. I'll take a couple more questions from the chat. Are Daemon and Corlys buddies? Not yet. In the books, Daemon actually starts amassing an army when he finds out that Corlys is amassing a fleet to defend the rights of his wife Laena. So they're kind of enemies, but then their arcs progress. So they both need... Daemon needs to go play at war, and Corlys needs to ensure his money flow. So we've seen so many clips of this. This isn't really a spoiler at all. In the War for the Stepstones, Daemon and Corlys team up, and they become really close. And eventually, the two of their houses are joined, which we heard them mentioning in the later this season thing. So again, not a spoiler. Let's see. If the king always knew about the White Walkers, why didn't they just take the dragons north to kill them before there could be a long winter? Well, there's probably one easy answer to that, and that's that there wasn't a threat yet. It takes a while for the White Walkers to amass, and at that time there's 1 million dragons. So at Aegon's time, there's 3 big fucking dragons. You got Vhagar, I always forget her dragon's name. I always forget Rhaenyra's dragon's name, but Meraxes. So there's Vhagar, Meraxes, and Balerion, and they're all big as fuck. Balerion is the biggest dragon of all time. We see his skull in the first episode. Vhagar, we will see, still alive in this show. We've already seen clips of her. But Balerion, the 3 of them together, with Meraxes included, that's enough to stave off a threat of White Walkers. Fire magic is still very much a part of the ice world, so the ice subsides as the fire grows hotter. But then, when the dragons start dying, the White Walker threat becomes more apparent. So, it's kind of like it had to be a certain amount of time without dragons, because the Targaryens come close to bringing back dragons a few times, at least from the information that we've been given in the book so far. The Targaryens bring dragons back a few times, but for the most part, it's taken this long for a new threat from the White Walkers to come. You gotta understand that the Targaryens aren't the only ones who's, at least for the TV show, who have killed the White Walker threat before. There's probably people who had road dragons before the Valyrians, and they were aware of all these threats. And the main reason why I say that is because there's these things called the 5 Forts of Yi, and it's very similar to the Wall in Westeros and Castle Black and Eastwatch by the Sea and Hardhome. All those forts that are built along the massive wall to help protect it from the threat of the White Walkers, where the Night's Watchmen reside. The same thing is over in Essos. And dragons are from Ashai, so they've been around since before the Valyrian shepherds somehow tamed dragons, right? So there's one theory that the Valyrians created dragons by taking wyverns and fireworms and making them. But then there's another theory that they've been around since before that. And that's probably more accurate, because there's 5 forts of Yi that are basically defending Essos from a massive threat of something. Dragons were used to forge those 5 forts, so it just makes sense that dragons were probably in Westeros before. And also in Old Town, so the High Towers. I need to drink some water. I got cotton mouth. In Old Town, the High Towers, the Old Town itself is literally called Old Town because it is the oldest town in Westeros. It's like the oldest port. It's the oldest city. It's named that literally because it's old as fuck. Near that, there's this place known as the Battle Isle. And folks don't really know why it's called the Battle Isle, but there's a theory that the Valyrians are afraid of Westeros. And the reason being is because since the Valyrians are slaving people, they tried to come over to Westeros and enslave the people known as the elder races in Westeros, and that's obviously the giants, the children of the forest, and all of that good shit. So if Old Town is the oldest town in Westeros, and the elder races have been around since before the First Men come over, and so is Old Town. Old Town's been a thing since before the First Men came over. The First Men are the people who are up north, right? The Starks. And then also their blood is sprinkled all throughout Westeros. But if that's the case, they probably tried to use their dragons to take over the children of the forest and the giants and all them. They probably banded together and had this massive battle. And that's why Battle Isle is called what it is. But anyway, Old Town has been around since then. And the High Towers... how did I even get to talking about this? I don't even remember. And that's a good point to wrap this live stream up. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I know it seems like I'm cutting this short, but we have been live for an hour and 17 motherfucking minutes. Please... go watch my breakdown video. It's 17 minutes long, plus this is an hour long, plus I'm going to be dropping probably 3 videos within the next 24 hours. I got to go put my kids to bed. I got to go to bed myself. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Mark. Special thank you to every single member of my Patreon family over on patreon.com. Special thank you to you for watching, and a special thank you to every single member who was watching that sent super chats. That's fucking dope. You guys basically bought my formula in diapers for like the next week or so. So that's awesome. Thank you. Alonat and Daldriza Spostari Exos. House of the Dragon is back. And I know it seems like my excitement is mellowed out, but that's just because I watched the episode 12 hours ago. And I've now watched it a second time, and I'm trying to process all the information. But like I said, this show is probably going to overshadow Game of Thrones. Thank you for watching. Ryan Condon, Miguel Sapochnik, and most importantly, George R. Martin, you fucking single-handedly saved, excuse me, because that was gross. You saved the entertainment industry. We now have something to look forward to for the next several years that this show's on. But also, make sure you like and subscribe and comment. Not just my video, but other videos. Follow the Game of Thrones Twitter. Follow the House of the Dragon Twitter. Retweet all their shit. Do all that because you want to let them know that we want Season 2. They're playing games with us, and they haven't officially confirmed it yet. So make sure you all know that we love the shit.